And yes, while America is starting its immigration system, Canada is also making major changes. And this time the focus is on one of the most important pathways to permanent residency. For years, Canada was seen as one of the easiest destinations for skilled immigrants. Many Indians believe that studying or working in Canada would eventually lead to PR. But over the past few years, that belief it has been tested again and again. And now another important immigration policy has changed. Ladies and gentlemen, the Canadian government has introduced changes to its Humanitarian and Compassionate or H&C immigration program. The program allows certain individuals facing exceptional circumstances to request permanent residency even after they do not qualify through the regular immigration pathway. However, under the revised approach, the government says applicants they will now be assessed under stricter guidelines and with greater focus on exceptional cases. Now, many people may ask that does this affect every Indian living in Canada? So no, the answer is no, but it does send a bigger message here. Canada's immigration system is becoming more selective across several categories. Over the past few months, we have already seen reduction in international student permit, changes in work permit, and adjustment to permanent residency target. Now, this latest move adds another chapter to that larger immigration reset. Here, immigration experts say that applicants should never assume that special programs can replace regular immigration pathway. Every case under H&C program, it is assessed individually and approval depends on very specific circumstances. Simply facing difficulty in finding a job or extending a permit, it may not be enough for you, and that is why legal advice and proper documentation have become more important than ever before. For thousands of Indians already living in Canada, the message is straightforward. Well, keep your immigration status valid, follow every single rule carefully, plan your next step well in advance instead of waiting until the last moment. Because Canada's immigration policies are changing much faster than they did a few years ago. And every new announcement, it is making long-term planning even more important. But yes, this is where the story becomes even more interesting. While Canada is introducing stricter immigration policy, another revelation is raising fresh questions. Official figures are now revealing something that many people did not really expect. The number behind Canada's permanent residency plan, it tells us a very different story. America's biggest work visa, it could be heading towards its biggest shakeup in decades. If working in the US is your dream or somebody your family is preparing for an H-1B lottery, then today's first story deserves your complete attention. A new bill introduced in the US Senate has sparked fresh debate about the future of skilled immigration. And if it ever becomes a law, it can impact far beyond America's border. The proposal has been introduced by Republican Senator TimesXP. It is called the End H-1B Abuse Act. Now, before we go any further, let me make one thing absolutely clear that this is still a proposed bill. It has not become a law. It still has to move through the legislative process before anything changes. But the reason the world is paying close attention is because the ideas mentioned in this proposal are among the toughest restrictions ever suggested for H-1B program. So let's understand why this bill has become such a big talking point here. The first proposal, it is simple, but its impact could be a lot. The bill seeks to stop the insurance of new H-1B visas for 3 years. Think about what that really means. For 36 months, thousands of engineers, software developers, AI experts, and skilled professionals waiting outside the US may not even get an opportunity to enter through regular H-1B route. For many people here, that means putting their career on hold. For companies, it could mean rethinking where their next talent is going to be from. But that's only one part of the proposal. The whole bill also wants employer to pay a mandatory fee for $100,000 for every new H-1B petition. Now, let's pause here for a moment. $100,000, it is more than 8 lakh rupees. Now, ask yourself one simple question. How many companies would willingly spend that much amount before they even know whether the visa will be approved or not? Now, here large multinational companies may still have the resources, but startups and small businesses, well, they could simply stop hiring foreign workers. And that is why this is specifically important for India. Why? Because Indians receive the largest share of H-1B visas every single year. From software engineers and cloud architects to cybersecurity experts and AI researchers, Indians, they form a major part of America's tech workforce. Any major change to H-1B system, it naturally affects Indian families more than anyone else. And that's why this bill, it is being watched so closely in both Washington and New Delhi. Well, the proposal, it goes even further here. It wants to reduce the annual H-1B cap from 65,000 visas to just 25,000. And at the very same time, it proposes the end of the current lottery system and replace it with a wage-based selection process. Let me simplify it for you. Candidates with higher salaries would move to the front of the line. For experienced professionals earning high salaries, this may improve their chances. But what about freshers? What about young engineers? They are just beginning their careers. Getting selected, well, it could become even more difficult for them. And there's another proposal that has worried international students. The bill also targets OPT, Optional Practical Training. It is the program that allows international students to work in the United States after completing their studies. So every year, thousands of Indian students, they depend on OPT to gain work experience before moving to the H-1B route. If this proposal ever becomes a law, that pathway, it could become much narrower than it is today. Well, the bill, it also seeks to change another important feature of H-1B program, dual intent. Under the current system, H-1B holders can legally work in the US while applying for permanent residency through green card, right? Now, the proposed legislation, it wants to remove that pathway. If that happens, then many skilled workers could find it much harder to settle permanently in the US, even after spending years working over there. Now, here's the bigger picture. Even before this bill was introduced, many companies had already started expanding their engineering operations outside the US. Well, it'll be very shocking and surprising, but India has emerged one of the biggest beneficiaries of this trend, with global capacity centers growing rapidly in the center like Bengaluru, Hyderabad, Pune, or Chennai. If hiring foreign workers in America becomes more expensive or more difficult, companies may decide to build larger tech teams in India instead of relocating employees overseas. So today's story is not just about one visa. It's about the future of global hiring. It is about where the next generation of tech jobs will be created. It is about how one proposal inside the US Senate, it could influence career decisions across continents. Whether this bill ultimately becomes law or not, one message is becoming increasingly clear here. America's immigration debate, it is definitely entering a new chapter. And the world, it is watching very carefully.